And now, a guy who witnessed a truckload of cough syrup overturn on the highway on the way in this morning. Luckily, there was no congestion for over 8 hours. J.P. Shadrick.
Welcome in. It is Jaguars Happy Hour presented by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's our final show of the offseason program. Vacation begins in about an hour from right now. We'll be back in late July. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Good afternoon, Jeff.
How's your congestion, JP?
Clear as a bell, apparently.
No, excited about the last show because it means that there's going to be a little bit of a break for us. But, you know, this is the time of year.
I love a good break.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a great break.
Yeah.
But this is the time of year, too, that the players really need to take a break from a mental standpoint, not from a physical standpoint. The training still has to go on. But you've got to be able to step away for a while to to get ready to focus in and lock in for a season because, I mean, it's incredibly demanding. A lot of people kind of don't understand the mental grind. I mean, people think that playing football is easy. It's just you're being an athlete. Well, try dealing with about 15 different injuries throughout the course of about 6 months and trying to perform at your best level. I mean, it's hard. It's hard, and it takes a lot of mental concentration and mental strength to be able to do that. And there's only one way that you can prepare yourself, and that's to get the mind free and clear and refreshed once you roll back up in here.
And then from the physical part of that coming up, you can't just be sitting on the couch eating Cheetos the whole time, right? But come to training camp ready to roll.
There are days that's okay. It's called cheat day, JP.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to say Cheetos, but you know, I think also part of this time of getting away is that you have days that you break the discipline to treat yourself to something nice. I mean, it's a reward, you know, and I had 1 day a week that I always used to do that.
Oh, really?
When I played when I was training in the off season.
Okay.
And that I would always pick 1 day to have something that wasn't great for you, you know. And I probably had more than just one a week, but I tried to keep it to one a week. And it was good because, I mean, it just, again, it kind of allowed you to just be human. You know, instead of this going back to the Rocky movie, right? When Drago was, you know, this machine that you're preparing and no pizza, no burgers, no ice cream. Wait a minute. You got to have a little bit of fun. And that's why Rocky was able to beat him, by the way. He had a little bit of.
Well, he trained in Siberia. It was the tough way. He went the scenic route to do it. But
you got to be able to, you know what I'm saying? You got to have a little bit of mental fun through the whole process and physical fun.
We'll get to the off-season coming up here in just a little bit, but the final mandatory minicamp practice was today. It was reduced by time. It was a great crowd out here, by the way, on Wednesday.
Great crowd.
Fans were invited to come out. It doesn't happen. I don't ever remember it happening for a mandatory minicamp.
Did we get a number on that, by the way? I bet, it had to be like 2,500.
Well, capacity, I think, is right at 2,000, but it felt like there were a lot more people.
There were a lot of people standing around, too, now.
Which was cool to see. Which, if you made it out here, thanks for coming. It was a great day of practice. Today was shortened a little bit, but the highlight today, Logs, you always say you look for Travis Hunter.
First thing I look at.
You saw him on both sides of the football today in a single practice for the first time.
And I don't know if this was the only time that it's actually, at least for our eyes.
Liam Cohen said on the Pat McAfee show today that it is the first time that he's done both in one practice.
And it was the first time for sure that we had seen it. I wasn't for sure. So it's good to hear that because you and I were standing there and we were, who are we talking to?
We were talking to Joe Cowher.
We were talking to Joe Cowher. And we're all kind of shooting the breeze, and then all of a sudden we look out there and we're like,
hey, wait a minute.
You pointed it out, right?
Yeah.
He said, hey, by the way, I hate to interrupt the conversation, but Travis Hunter's now wearing a white jersey because he started the practice out wearing a teal jersey, which is the offensive color.
He was running routes and doing everything on offense.
And then he flipped it over to the white jersey today. And so, yeah, that's cool. It was fun to watch. There was a lot of reps, more reps today for the 2s and 3s today than I think the 1s. Yesterday was a day of a lot of reps for the ones, but it was fun watching 12, on offense and on defense, and there's a lot of work to be done with this football team. Travis has got a lot of work to do, and it's not anywhere near a finished project, and nor should it look like a finished project at this point. There's still time, and they're going to have a really good training camp. When you've got a new system, new coaches, new foundation, everything needs to come together in time, and I can't wait to see it come together.
Another thing I like to see today was Brian Thomas Jr. back on the practice field after a little bit of a scare on Wednesday, went down on his shoulder, walked back on the field yesterday, didn't get back into the work, but then was back out there and apparently working full today. That's good.
When he went down, there was kind of this collective gasp, I guess you could say, at practice. And at first, when I saw him down, I was like, oh my gosh, is that a knee? Because that's your first concern, is that something, crazy happens, non-contact or contact related, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And he got up, and then you could tell that he was walking and had his right arm kind of held tight to his right side. And you're like, okay, looks like maybe an arm or shoulder or something. He comes out, he went inside for a bit, came out, and he was kind of moving around a little bit. So very encouraging that he was out there at practice today. And if there's a list of guys as far as don't get hurt on the Jaguars roster, Trevor, number one, quarterback, right? I mean,
we've seen what happens when that's happened for 2 years.
Most important position that there is on a football team. Travis Hunter, number two, just because I think Travis represents hope and change. Brian Thomas, because he's a phenomenal football player, and then you go down to like Josh and Trayvon, I think, as the next two guys.
I'm just thinking from the perspective of a guy that you didn't list right there.
I know.
Wait a minute. I'm not on his list. I'm not guys that can't be injured. Wait a minute. No, I'm kidding, of course.
Everybody else can get hurt, and I'm just kidding.
Right.
And then the other positive of the minicamp is complete, and there were no injuries to speak of significance, or really anything that I saw myself. I mean, and that's, the goal always of the offseason is to get better, number one, and probably 1B is to stay healthy, getting into training camp as healthy as you possibly can. So, so I think some objectives will reach, and the work is, again, there's a lot of work done, but there's still plenty of work to do with this football team.
We'll get to the Jags defense coming up in just a little bit and what you saw this offseason from that group, new scheme, a lot of new faces on the back end of that defense, but we continue on 1010XL, AM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube on Jaguars Happy Hour with the offense. And, a lot of focus. You mentioned the quarterback there. He spoke today. We'll hear from him coming up in just a little bit. But it's all about how he handles the offense, how he executes, how healthy he is. He was wearing a black sleeve on his throwing arm today. He said just some general soreness.
And yesterday.
Yeah, nothing to really be worried about. But this is obviously a huge season for him coming up. He's got the contract and everything moving ahead, but a new offense, new coaching staff. He's got to start taking steps forward, and the next month or so to get ready for training camp are big for him too.
Well, and I think in a big way he needs to take a step up. I mean, this is at the point of a quarterback's career where you expect to see big gains in his game. The concerning thing to me is that day 2 of minicamp was not very good yesterday.
Yeah, I felt like the defense had a better day on Wednesday than the offense.
I'm okay with the defense having good moments, but I thought Trevor didn't have a good day. And
even Liam Cohen said, a lot of balls on the ground. I mean, you can't have that in a non-contact practice. It shouldn't happen.
Well, and look, there's a lot that goes into the performance of the quarterback. The performance around him also has to be good to allow him to be good. Mm-hmm. But his feet have got to get better in certain situations. There was one throw in particular in a red zone drill where, he didn't even adjust his feet to make a throw, and the ball sailed on him. You got to step into the throws and adjust your feet, and he knows that, and that's a huge factor with Liam Cohen's offense, and he talked extensively about it a ways back in the offseason. And he realizes it, and he's got to continue to work at it and continue to improve. You know, there are certain quarterbacks that can throw it any which way you want. Like Patrick Mahomes, I mean, his feet aren't perfect all the time, but he's got that innate ability just to throw it from different positions and different angles. That's not Trevor. Trevor, I think, is a quarterback that, look, he's got to be disciplined with his feet to get the best result. You know, and that's just how it is. And he's got to continue to work at it, and he will. He's got a great work ethic. And also his receivers need to know where they need to be as well. So there's some moments. There was a little confusion as well yesterday, going back to yesterday, to where it looked like they weren't clean on assignment knowledge, which is, you know, that happens. It's a lot of new players on that side of the ball as well.
You know, we've talked about all these receivers and you know, the running back room and everything.
That, by the way, just let me jump in right there. When you mentioned the running back room, that may be one of the most interesting position groups to watch going into training camp, and then also when we get down to the first game and what roles are going to be earned. And will it impact the roster? You know, could there be any changes there? Because you've got a talented room.
Yes, you do.
And the reality is that room, once you get past a couple spots, special teams contributions has to be a factor. Well, you look at what they have now. I mean, you've got two rookies that were drafted. You got Tank Bigsby, ETN. I mean, you got four guys right there that are really good football players as far as running backs go, but is there a special teams capability there? You know, some you might think yay, some you might think nay. So I think that's going to be and I say that because I think it's a very talented room. And I think it's going to be very interesting to watch how the roles are earned out of that room.
ETN's getting about $6.5 million in his final year of his rookie contract, fifth-year option season, of course. Tank Bigsby in year number 3 out of Auburn. But I think the thing that really stands out about the new guys is the speed. Bashal Tootin especially has that, I mean, explosive, take it to the house speed from anywhere. If he can hang on to the football,
and he's powerful.
Yeah.
And he's strong. Yeah. But the one area that he's got to work on, ball security. Ball security. I mean, if there was really the only knock in his game coming out of Virginia Tech was ball security. I think if there were no issues with ball security, then he might have been talked about with the elite running backs that went in the first round and then soon after. Yeah. So that's something that he has to work on. And you know, earlier today I was listening to Tom Coughlin on a radio show, and he was talking about how he worked with Tiki Barber in solving some of those ball security issues with Tiki. And I think the coaching staff is working very hard with him as well, and it's something that he has to embrace and realize. And so you've got two guys that are in that room. Tank Bigsby, I think it was about one fumble every 30 carries, I think, so far in his career. Not fumbles lost, but fumbles, which that's what matters anyway. So you've got to make sure that that area with those two guys is cleaned up.
We've got plenty ahead. We'll return and get into the Jaguars' defense over this offseason program, especially the last couple days. Felt like some positives out of that group.
I thought it was real good.
Okay.
I thought the defense had an outstanding minicamp. I mean, really.
Okay. Well, we'll dig into that.
That, to me, was the bright spot.
There's a lot to discuss here, then. I'm excited to hear this from you.
All right.
That's when we come back on 1010XL, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. This is the final Jaguars Happy Hour of the offseason.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Enter the Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes for your chance to win a summer supply of Snickers ice cream, a meet and greet with our head coach, and a VIP training camp experience during Jaguars training camp. For more information, please visit jaguars.com/sweepstakes. The Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes will end at 11:59 on Thursday, June 26th. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited, must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotional period is June 2nd to June 26th. Total ARV of $15.20. Prize details and winner selection date specified in official rules. Sponsor Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC, 1 Everbank Stadium Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. Odds of winning depend on the total number of entries received.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jordan, and I'm the manager of social media for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as manager of social media, we serve as a bridge between the fans and the franchise. And so my passion is rooted in being a fan, but I also get to work with the team each day. The Bright Future Scholarship was huge for me because I was able to pursue an education at the University of Florida. And because I didn't have to worry about paying for classes, I could spend my time covering the sports teams that I work around. I'm extremely grateful for the Bright Future Scholarship and the Florida Lottery specifically for allowing me to earn an education.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with Everbank. Open an Everbank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. Everbank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Just seeing how he go about his work, he helped me out a lot. Like I said the last time I came up here and talked, so just being able to take things from him and the Money Game and Parker Game is just something that I can apply to my game to make me better.
Travis Hunter, after Wednesday's practice, when asked about Brian Thomas Jr. and the impact of the Pro Bowl receiver on him so far in this offseason. Welcome back. Jaguars football is presented by Fresh from Florida. It's always in season. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We're at the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center, for the final time in the offseason program. Vacation begins in 42 minutes. We're counting down.
Less than 42
to the dead zone.
Less than 42 minutes. It's not, it's not really the dead zone. I mean, there's still things that can be happening from a league standpoint. But
it's pretty dead, though. Come on, compared to the other 11 months of the year.
Look,
it's the 1 month a year.
It's pretty dead, but there's still some things that are going to be interesting to watch. I mean, from a league standpoint, what's going to happen with Jalen Ramsey, for one?
Are you really that intrigued by that?
I am intrigued by that. I think it's going to be very interesting because I don't know if there's going to be anybody out there looking.
Is he going to play safety
for a guy that's going to
play corner?
Cost you that much money, and they're talking about trading him. To trade, you got to have somebody that's on the other side.
It's two to tango.
That wants to take them. Yeah. So anyway, I think it's just very interesting, and there's some other storylines that are going to be kind of an interesting watch. What's going on in Cincinnati with Shamar Stewart, the rookie defensive end, and Cincinnati's trying to shove a clause of the new contract style that nobody in the league uses down the throat of this rookie first-round pick. It just goes to show you that the Bengals, once again...
Yeah, what's the clause, by the way?
It's some type of clause that you can take away future guarantees based on some behavior in 1 year, which has never been instituted in the National Football League.
Does he have a history or something?
No. That's
weird.
I don't get it. As far as I know, he doesn't have any history.
Right.
Okay? But here's the thing. If you had a problem with the history, okay, don't try to give them a different contract. Don't pick them.
There's plenty of other players to pick.
Yeah, don't pick the guy.
Yeah.
You know, and anyways, to me, that's interesting. But again, that's typical Cincinnati.
And that's rare now because since the last CBA and everything, or a couple CBAs ago now, when everything was slotted, there's no holdouts anymore. Like, rookies don't have to hold out for anything.
It doesn't
anymore.
have to do with money nowadays.
No.
It's just language.
And it rarely goes this deep either. So.
No.
And by the way, I don't think Travis Hunter signed either.
He has not. He has not yet. And there's some guys, and Shamar Stewart being one of them, said, look, if I don't have a contract, I'm not going to practice, which I don't blame any rookie for doing that. I mean, that's kind of part of their abilities or power. They don't have to practice in a minicamp if they don't have a contract. There are some agents that actually advise their clients not to practice because what happens if if a player gets hurt? Now, again, that kind of goes back to the organization's history. So, like if you're with the Bengals, I would be, as a rookie, less likely to practice without a contract because they may end up trying to give me a lesser contract if I did sustain an injury. Now, the Jaguars have no history of doing that type of behavior. So I would be willing to practice with the Jaguars as a rookie.
Well, remember when Dante Fowler got hurt? Fowler got hurt in rookie minicamp, had not signed anything yet,
and
they gave him the full deal.
Full deal. Exactly. So I think history has a lot to do with that. But yeah, it's to me that's interesting stuff.
Jaguars defense, lots of new. Anthony Campanelli, the defensive.
Is it Campanelli or is it Campanile?
Yes.
That's actually a question that he was asked.
He was
a while back.
He said both.
He said, "I'm good with either way."
Right.
But it's been fun watching him because I can tell that he brings an energy and a bit of a swagger to this Jaguars defense. You know, and if you go back and if you look at Green Bay's defense from last year, my analysis of them was that, look, that's one of the most disciplined defenses that I've watched all year. And I remember preparing for the Jaguars-Packers game. I was like, look, they're not going to give you any openings. You better be on it. And I think that, and I hope that that's a trait that's going to carry over with this team because so far in the offseason, you can tell that is a trait. They're where they want to be, where they need to be. Whereas last year, we know that was, I think, the poorest coaching job in Jaguars history on the defensive side of the ball. And there were more mental breakdowns last year, I think, the most in the league probably. By far the worst performance, I thought, in Jaguars history. So I think it's going to be easier to get better, obviously, on that side of the ball. But I like the intensity that he brings. I like the assignment, cleanliness, responsibility, knowledge, all of that is cleaned up and is being cleaned up. How many contested balls have you seen in that 3-day minicamp by defenders?
A lot. And
they're
all over it. They're all over the ball.
Which means they're where they need to be. And to me, that has been impressive. So, look, and I know it's early. You know, they haven't even played a game yet. But I like what I'm seeing out of him as a coordinator and what I'm seeing out of this defense.
And the messaging trickles down to the players, of course, and you can hear some of that messaging that's likely being presented in defensive meetings during interviews. One of those was Jarian Jones this week when he was asked about Campanelli's defense and approach, and he said, quote, "Whooping someone's ass is the main key," end quote. That kind of tells you everything you need to know.
You can tell that comes from the boss man on the defensive side of the ball because he's got that attitude, you know. And I was telling you this a little bit ago, and you know I'll share it with everybody on the air. You know, I people watch and practice. I mean, I watch players, but then I also watch how coaches interact with players, with themselves, and it's fun to watch Anthony Campanile or Campanelli, however you want to say it, interact with the players because when he gets them on an individual basis when they're in Indy, which Indy folks, we call that individual drill, individual periods, he'll work with certain position groups and the intensity is like way high. But that's the moment you can do those kind of things. You can't have this super intense, red in the face, spit flying out of your mouth when you're a coordinator. You got to be calm, you got to be cool, and you got to be reasonable.
He might be burning up inside when all that's going on, but yes.
You have to have that outer shell that is calm, and because that's how you want your defense to play. Mm-hmm. But when he's in an individual period with different position groups, you can see the intensity comes out in him in a big way. And it's almost like he has to do that just to kind of get centered, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when he's working with the defense, it's that calm, cool demeanor, and I love it.
What we're on 1010XL, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. What is the most intriguing position group that you'll watch during training camp? Is it a battle for a roster spot? Is it a group as a whole? Which one on the defensive side stands out to you the most?
Well, I'm always partial to the defensive linemen, just because that's kind of was my home for 10 years in the league.
Oh, it was your home.
So I will watch that group, obviously, with a little bit more interest. But to me, the safety position is, to me, the most intriguing one. I mean, if you go down and you look at that position from a roster standpoint, Darnell Savage, Daniel Thomas, Raywan Lane from Navy, Antonio Johnson, Caleb Ransall, draft pick, Eric Murray, free agent that was signed, Antonio Johnson. I mean, you've got
Andrew Wingard,
who is a damn good football player and arguably one of the best special teams players that there is, I think, in this league. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of guys there, and you got limited roles. So I think that's going to be one of the most intriguing position groups, from who's going to start to who's going to make the roster, I think, from both standpoints.
Let's think about from the special teams perspective first, right? You mentioned Wingard. I mean, he could be battling for a starting spot on defense.
And Daniel Thomas.
Daniel Thomas
two outstanding
is an elite
teamers.
Special teams player.
Outstanding
elite
special teams
And
player.
they've said the same thing about Raywan Lane III, the rookie out of Navy, that was his ability at Navy, and maybe it translates in the NFL also. So those are three right there that just, okay, those guys are going to have roles on special teams, you would think.
Well, and then obviously it goes without saying, Travis Hunter, his role, with the secondary is obviously going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch. But I think it's very important to allow him to excel at one position. I think defense is something that he can excel at without getting as many reps as he needs to probably get on offense, because offense is so timing and everything else related. And look, the reality is the offense needs to kind of find a groove and find a rhythm. And so I think he needs to spend more time on offense and a little less time on defense. But, I mean, that safety position to me is going to be really interesting. And corner, for that matter.
Yeah, a lot of new faces in the secondary.
No, the one guy I thought that had a really good mini camp, Monteric Brown. Thought he had a really good mini camp. I'm also a big fan of DeAndre Prince. I think he's got great man skills. So, I mean, where are those two going to be at? Jarian Jones, how are all these guys going to end up developing? And obviously the veteran that they signed, Jordan Lewis. Lewis is a tremendous player.
I was going to say, I've been impressed just the practices I've been out there. I mean, he's a ninth-year player. He has a presence about him. He's got a mouth on him. He's not afraid to chirp and kind of keep everybody
But he's not over the top chirping.
Right. It's a good It seems like that is a good tone setter.
There are certain guys you want them just to shut up. You know what I mean? You're like, dude, can you just shut up? You're talking too much.
I will not present any names, but go ahead.
But Jordan Lewis is not that. I mean, it's a playful, fun, competitive banter, not an annoying, shut the hell up banter.
Yeah.
And then Tyson Campbell has had tremendous minicamp. And this defense suits him to a T.
On Wednesday, there was a play. It was red zone in the end zone closest to the grandstand, field 2. And there was a jump ball, back left corner of the end zone, Travis Hunter against Jordan Lewis. And it was like a perfect ball.
Oh, yeah.
Both had a chance at it. Lewis knocks it away.
And by the way, that's a pass and a play that Travis Hunter dominated in college football.
That's right. And Lewis made the play on it. And Hunter will get his at some point. And I thought that was to me, that was like the play of the minicamp. Like, okay, this kind of tells you where things are right now, and it went the defense's way, at least on that day.
And that was during, and the cool thing is that during minicamp there were, and you and I kind of emceed the practice yesterday a little bit to give the fans an idea of what was happening during certain periods. Yeah. And they have certain periods that literally the intensity goes up, and the players know it. Okay, they're keeping score. Okay, offense can win, defense can win. And there's a odd number of plays in each one of these drills, 9 to be exact. And so there's a winner at the end of the drill. Highly competitive. And I love this because it's kind of a message from the coaches to the players that, like, okay, now it's time to turn on that game mindset, ultimate competitor mindset. And it was good to see that. And it was highly competitive. You know, they did it in red zone, they did it in third down, fourth down, overtime. It was cool.
Much different vibe than the Urban Meyer winners losers practice stuff. Remember all that when they used to? Yeah, that was a different animal altogether. This is good. It was good team competition. It was,
and I think what it does it creates the bonding with groups. You know, offense. Okay, make them bond. They're competing as a group. You know, same thing with the offense. And I got to say, the defense won.
They certainly did.
They did.
We're back in a moment, and we'll get into what coaches and players should be doing for the next month, or might be doing, whether they should or shouldn't.
So what are you trying to say?
Use your imagination.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
The one thing that I don't want them doing is getting into any kind of trouble.
We'll get into that when we return as well. 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game. The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What's the best part about lawn care during the winter? You can give it a rest. Lawns only need watering up to once a week. Really, that's it. Using less water means you're saving time and money that you can put towards something else. Before you run your sprinklers, remember, give it a rest and only water up to once a week. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
And that's a Magellan first down.
Move the freight, move the freight, move the freight.
Would you like to control your own income? Work at Magellan Transport. Voted the coolest office space in Duval. Bring your talents and let your career flourish. Visit their website at MagellanLogistics.com and apply online. Trust service. Trust Magellan.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jordan, and I'm the manager of social media for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as manager of social media, we serve as a bridge between the fans and the franchise. And so my passion is rooted in being a fan, but I also get to work with the team each day. Bright Future Scholarship was huge for me because I was able to pursue an education at the University of Florida. And because I didn't have to worry about paying for classes, I could spend my time covering the sports teams that I work around. I'm extremely grateful for the Bright Future Scholarship and the Florida Lottery specifically for allowing me to earn an education.
Enter the Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes for your chance to win a summer supply of Snickers ice cream, a meet and greet with our head coach, and a VIP training camp experience during Jaguars training camp. For more information, please visit jaguars.com/sweepstakes. The Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes will end at 11:59 on Thursday, June 26th. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited, must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotional period is June 2nd to June 26th. Total ARV of $15.20. Prize details and winner selection dates specified in official rules. Sponsor Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC, 1 Everbank Stadium Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. Odds of winning depend on the total number of entries received.
We're not really trying to emphasize gap schemes too much because that's when those collisions can occur, when you're pulling people, trapping, whamming, pulling two. I mean, that's where a lot of those things that occur that aren't really supposed to occur in this phase, right? So we're trying to stay within the rules but continue to get better at the zone game, right? That's obviously a little bit more of a safe run in this phase, but also something that we want to be able to do, right? Everybody runs zone in the NFL game. So I think today was actually some of our better hits on zone that we've had a couple better ones yesterday, but I think once you get into training camp, the run game will have to diversify a little bit more in terms of, all right, we got the pads on, where are our toss cracks now coming? I'm not going to go crack one of our players on our team.
It's Liam Cohen, Jaguars head coach, earlier today discussing the run game practices here in the offseason program and how they will change once the heat of training camp is upon us. Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. The 2025 season at Daly's Place continues tonight with Vampire Weekend. Logs.
Vampire Weekend?
You remember the movie Step Brothers? Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly. You ever see that?
No, I never saw it.
The opening song of that movie is done by Vampire Weekend.
That's a band.
Yes, Vampire Weekend is a band.
I got it. So I need to add that to my Spotify.
Sure.
Okay. What kind of music?
It's alternative music. I mean, mid late 2000s, I think is when they started.
All right.
That's tonight. Anyway, Glass Animals, June 17th. Avril Lavigne, June 23rd. Shania Twain, 2 nights, July 29th.
I might know her.
And 30. DailysPlace.com for tickets and show information. Looking forward to those. All right, so off season's here. You know, this is the day where, I mean, they shortened practice a little bit. Probably, I think they had some meetings and things after, and then there is a stampede to the parking lot to get in the cars to get out of here.
For some guys, I mean, and there are some guys that are going to stay here. You know, the facility will remain open to players, and the staff will, I'm sure, kind of handle it from, because the staff needs a break too. You know, we were talking earlier about how what the players need to do at this point of the season, but the staff has to be able to prepare their mind and their families for the grind that they're getting ready to undertake here pretty soon too. So they need time away as well. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are like doing what you're talking about. As soon as this practice was over and they were done and they were rolling to wherever they wanted to go. But I think the rookies are still in town for another 2 weeks.
That's right. Yep.
To continue to work, which is good. But at the same token, you know, they're going to need some time away too, because you know from the time the rookies' football season ends to when they get drafted and everything that leads up to that, and then right after it's like a whirlwind. And you don't even know sometimes what day of the week it is or what month it is. Yeah. And, you know, you haven't trained necessarily for football. You were training for all of these drills that were going to be evaluated from a clock standpoint. So now you need to make sure that you're training yourself to get ready to play football. And I think part of these next 2 weeks will be a lot of that for them.
There will be Liam Cohen, who we just heard from, also on the Pat McAfee show today, said he's going on a big golf trip to Scotland coming up, I think, next week. So the next couple of weeks, coaches will have some time as well. And then once kind of mid-July hits, they're all back in the fold again, getting ready for the early arrivals, rookies, quarterbacks, and then training camp in late July.
Yeah, I mean, look, the coaches grind. I mean, the demands of being an NFL coach from a time standpoint and time spent away from family is huge. And so any chance that they get to travel and spend time with family and to do a phenomenal trip like that to go play golf, I mean, good for him, because once he comes back, it's going to be all business for the foreseeable future. And then his next break he's going to get is going to be, well, you hope February.
After the Super Bowl, right?
Well,
After the parade, right?
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
If you could pick one place to go, JP Shadrick.
Yes, that's me.
Okay. You've got an opportunity, okay? You've got the resources, you know, you're pulling in good money, you're a coach in the National Football League.
This must be a fictional account, but yes, go ahead.
Where would you go to free your mind? Would you go golfing, fishing, some exotic island with sand and surf?
Well, I got a bad wrist right now, so golf's out of the equation.
Okay.
I'm not, the beach, we got the beach here. So I'm not necessarily going to fly 2,000 miles to go to the beach when we go to the beach here. I don't really go to the beach here either. I don't know. That's a good question.
But that's the question, I think.
Maybe something that's a little cooler than here.
Okay.
Maybe
heading to the north somewhere.
Maybe, yeah. Because we're in a swamp, Logs. And it is hotter than hell.
It's pretty
this
warm,
week.
yeah. Pretty warm.
So maybe something to get out of the heat for a couple of weeks.
All right.
I don't know. Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Alaska, maybe.
I mean, last couple of years, been fortunate enough to go to the British Isles, right?
Nice.
In the summer, right?
Nice.
And it's like 60 degrees and raining every day.
Perfect.
Cool.
Right?
Love it.
Yeah.
So I dig that.
But, I mean, that's kind of, I think, the mindset. I mean, take your family, take yourself, get away. Don't lose the edge that you have gained from a training standpoint, and continue to make sure that you're watching what you're putting in your body, because you don't want to start backpedaling and losing ground that you've gained throughout the off-season conditioning and OTAs and everything of that nature. So, but you got to be able to give the mind a little bit of a break.
Well, let's ask this the other way. Like, let's say you had that same situation. What would be your ideal getaway? What did you like to do during that month?
Well, I think from a player standpoint, you want to be, if you're going to go somewhere, you still want to be able to work out to some extent. So that would be seriously, you have to. I mean, you can take 3 or 4 days and not train, but you can't go somewhere for 2 weeks and not have lifted a weight or done some type of conditioning. So the first thing that you think of is that where can I go that I can still accomplish some of my training goals? Where can I go to still meet some of my dietary restrictions that I have, right? I mean, so a lot of that factors into it. And there are different places that you can go to that have a lot of those amenities that are built in, that some places that are cooler, some places that are warmer. But it's got to have those things that I talk about, the ability to train, the ability to have the facilities to accomplish what you want, and also the ability to watch what you're eating. All those have to be considered.
When you played, did you just stick around here and fish for a month?
Yeah, I mean, who would want to leave this place? I was in heaven.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the fishing here in the summertime is just tremendous. At least where I lived at, St. John's River, was incredible.
Sure.
So I tried to stay here, and that's the great thing. Back in the early days, they actually closed the old stadium up where we trained at. They closed it up. You didn't even have the option of working out inside. They closed it up for a period of time, and but now they keep it open for the players, which is a good thing.
You talked about all the good fishing down at your old place. I mean, I went there a couple of times. I didn't catch a damn thing.
Well, you're just not a very good fisherman.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, operator error.
It's the reality.
It's very true.
But I mean, look, there is nothing wrong with a staycation in Jacksonville. I can tell you that.
There's plenty to do.
But look, you want to go see family sometimes, and then maybe take a great trip, man. Reward yourself for the hard work that you've done. It's all good.
Let's come back. We'll get our final thoughts in before vacation begins in about 15 minutes. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dream Finders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game. The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with Everbank. Open an Everbank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. Everbank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jordan, and I'm the manager of social media for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as manager of social media, we serve as a bridge between the fans and the franchise, and so my passion is rooted in being a fan, but I also get to work with the team each day. The Bright Future Scholarship was huge for me because I was able to pursue an education at the University of Florida, and because I didn't have to worry about paying for classes, I could spend my time covering the sports teams that I work around. I'm extremely grateful for the Bright Future Scholarship and the Florida Lottery specifically for allowing me to earn an education.
Sudduth is on the 20, the 10. Yes, another successful move to a new home. I tell you, folks, I've never seen a team more prepared than the Sudduth crew. With a dominating lead in training, trust, and efficiency, it's no wonder why Sudduth is the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the past 100 years, Sudduth has provided local, long-distance, and international moving services in Jags. While the Jags are moving the chains on game day, Sudduth is helping you on moving day. Visit sudduth.com/Jags for a guaranteed quote.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Enter the Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes for your chance to win a summer supply of Snickers ice cream, a meet and greet with our head coach, and a VIP training camp experience during Jaguars training camp. For more information, please visit jaguars.com/sweepstakes. The Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes will end at 11:59 on Thursday, June 26th. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited, must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotional period is June 2nd to June 26th. Total ARV of $15.20. Prize details and winner selection dates specified in official rules. Sponsor Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC, 1 Everbank Stadium Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. Odds of winning depend on the total number of entries received.
Some good days, some days were a little sloppier, and that's part of it, especially a new system, a lot of new guys, everyone's playing together kind of for the first time for a lot of us. So overall, I thought it was really good. I thought we learned a lot, took some really big steps of improvement throughout OTAs, and I'm proud of the guys, how they worked. Everyone worked their tail off all offseason, really pushed ourselves. There's a lot of times where this is a period where some people can kind of take it easy, and I felt like every day we really came out here busted our ass and really were intentional about what we were doing.
Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback, with a sweet headband after practice today, meeting with the media. Full availability at jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. This is Jaguars Happy Hour from the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Final show until July 24th.
I get the impression that you're, pointing out the headband because you're jealous of the flowing locks of Trevor Lawrence.
You're not wrong. It's been a long time.
You should come out and do the show with a bandana sometime.
I need a lot of things, Logs, is what I need. I used to have long hair one time, actually.
Did you really?
High school.
Did you have a mullet?
No, I had long hair.
Long hair?
It was thick.
Long everywhere.
It was big, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was a little.
Right. Did you ever have a mullet?
I did not.
Or did you? I guess that would be a reverse mullet when it's long at the top, short on the sides. Is that what you had, one of those reverse mullets?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't. You
like
had a mullet.
top.
You had a mullet.
Oh, heck yeah. I had a strong mullet.
Business in the front, party in the back kind of deal?
I had a strong mullet.
I bet you did. Somebody told me one time there's a photo of you somewhere walking out shirtless pregame in New York when you had the big ponytail hanging down and like pregame warm-ups. Didn't you used to do that?
I don't know. I may have. I don't know.
Just asking.
Might have.
Okay.
There's one guy in this building that always claims that happened, and we know who that is. Perk would be one of his nicknames.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any validity to what he's saying.
It might be.
But
I believe him.
You never know.
Jaguars Happy Hour, presented by Dreamfinders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. English. Let me try it sometime.
It's good for you.
It is. This is the final show before the dead zone. Do you want to cut the roster now, or like you want to wait till training camp?
No, let's wait till training camp.
Are you ready for that?
Here's the deal. Minicamp is a great time to evaluate some things because there's no pads.
A lot of stars out there right now.
And I've learned, okay, over the last 36 years, okay, of being around the NFL, that don't get overly excited about anything from minicamp or the OTAs or anything of that nature. Even in training camp, just slow down because the pads have to come on, and then there are different levels of achievement for players. I mean, there's certain guys that they shine through everything: OTAs, minicamp, training camp, and then the games when the lights come on, they continue to elevate their game. And there are some that just fall by the wayside because they're not consistent enough, or they're not physical enough, or they're not mentally tough enough. I mean, it's the hardest game to play in all of professional sports because it is demanding from a physical standpoint, but most importantly, it's incredibly demanding from a mental standpoint. You have to be mentally tough to play this game. And some guys just can't do it, and some guys will have moments. But the consistency, the great ones have a consistency about them and then shine through all of that. And so you want to see the whole book, before you start to jump to conclusions a little bit, after a couple chapters. So, and especially we haven't seen the big guys hit each other yet.
No, nothing.
Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. 91 look unblockable in this mini camp.
Eric Armstead.
Okay.
Okay, Eric Armstead.
I mean, that's great. I'm excited about it.
It's cool.
But again, okay, let's get to the regular season. Anton Harrison didn't look great at moments, but it's the offseason, OTAs. Okay, what's he going to do once we get to camp when it starts to become real?
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that you think, but things that you just don't know yet at this time of the year.
And then Liam Cohen just talked about that a little while ago. We heard from him, especially in the run game. You can't run certain ideas because it's a non-contact time of year. You can't even do that.
Well,
stuff. And you'll start doing it in training camp.
Well, and look, you have a set of rules that you've got to go by from the coach's standpoint. And if you don't follow those rules, then you end up getting fined heavily and also losing maybe some other aspect of your training ability in the future for violating rules that are set out in the collective bargaining agreement. So, I'm going to be looking forward very much to training camp because that's when you start to know about a lot of guys. Like we think, for example, the offensive line is going to be much more competitive. They brought guys in free agency. They got a couple of them undrafted, one of them drafted. We think it's going to be better. Well, we got to wait and see, until the pads come on. Fred Johnson's a giant human being.
He is.
Giant human being.
Sure.
But you know what? A giant human being can't really impose his giantness against an opponent. I'm making
Is that a word? Giantness?
Can't do that against an opponent at this point of the juncture of the offseason.
Let's see.
By the way, I talked with him the other day.
He's listed at 6'7", 326.
I don't think he's 6'7". I think he's 6'8".
Really?
I'm just telling you, JP. I went up and introduced myself to him and talked with him for 5 or 10 minutes, and was asking him about the natural position that he likes and how many starts he's had at each spot. And I'm just sitting there, and the person that came to mind, because the only player that I ever went against in the NFL to where I was in awe of how big he was Jonathan Ogden. I'll never forget, never forget the first time I ever played against John. And I was just like, oh, my God.
What do I do with this?
This guy is legit. He's a giant human being. Fred Johnson's he's in the same category. He's the second guy that I've ever been around that is just an absolute. And the guy for Philadelphia is in the same category, the left tackle.
Mailata.
Jordan Mailata,
Yep.
who is the biggest human being of them all. And standing around him is like, oh, my God. Fred Johnson, Jordan Mailata, and then, of course, Jonathan Ogden. 3 biggest human beings that I've ever been around in football.
Tell you what, one of my first years here, we played the Patriots, and Vince Wilfork was one of those for me. I was like, oh, boy, this is different now.
Yeah, he's
just
wide. Really
like
wide.
Massive.
Really wide.
Human being.
Siragusa kind of in the same category. And then the nose tackle that played alongside Siragusa, drawn a blank. Really good football player.
Who was the one in the 90s for the Packers? Who was the nose tackle? Gilbert? That guy was
not Tony Gilbert.
It was huge.
I can't remember his first name, but Gilbert. And he was
all he would do was just that and stand there.
That's all he had to do.
That's it.
He was a space eater, and that you weren't running anywhere with his outstretched arms. That he had that covered. I got this right here.
You just forget, like
Sean Gilbert. Sean?
It sounds close.
Sounds right. Yeah.
But it's funny, like, on television, there's just players running around. But if you have the opportunity to get close to them or on the sideline or whatever, it's like, these guys are different.
Was it Sam Adams who was next to Siragusa?
Might have been.
I think it was. Another just giant human being,
man.
But for real, Fred Johnson is just a giant.
You think he's got a shot, right? 7th-year player out of Florida.
Look, watching he doesn't have a whole lot of career starts now. And but when he started for Philadelphia and he started at different positions for them, he did a really good job. And that's a really good offensive line, and they have a standard that they set. So when you join that rank, okay, it's understood we're here. So if you're playing, you need to be here at this level with us. And so when you have a room and a group like that, they demand that you play to their level. And that's one of the best offensive line coaches, too, exists in Philadelphia. And if you can develop that mindset here, that would be outstanding.
Would be.
That's the goal. I mean, look, that's the goal.
But he's still going to answer a lot of questions in training camp, of who's going to be out there first.
Well, and then it's competitive. It's going to be very competitive along the offensive line this year. And I think there's also going to be some interesting from the standpoint of where are guys going to find a home? Because Patrick McCarry, for example, is he going to be right guard? Could he play left? Right tackle? You had a couple guys moving in and out of there. So I think it's going to be an interesting watch. They got to be better, though, I can tell you that. And they got to learn how to run the ball.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The last couple of years with this offense, I think that was one of the biggest downfalls to this offense in Jacksonville was the lack of ability to run the ball when you needed to run it. And short yardage was like right at the top. For perfect example as to what they couldn't do. I mean, the last 2 years, the third and short running game was terrible.
It was awful. It felt like 3rd and 5 all the time. 3rd and 1 felt like 3rd and 5.
And I think the mindset was that the run was kind of an afterthought. Got to change.
All right, Logs. Great off-season. Enjoy your few weeks away. We'll talk to you in training camp. Happy early Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And tell your pops happy Father's Day.
I think you just did.
Yeah.
It's Jeff Lageman. I'm JP Shadrick. Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, our entire crew. Thanks to you for watching and listening. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.